The moment an avoidant comes back, something happens to you that is almost impossible to prepare for. Every wall you built during their absence, every hard conversation you had with yourself in the quiet, every moment of clarity you fought for, it wavers. Not because you are weak, but because the part of you that loved them does not disappear just because you decided to protect yourself. And the avoidant, consciously or not, knows exactly when that door is most likely to open. They have an almost uncanny sensitivity to the moment your healing has progressed just far enough to make you approachable again, but not far enough to make you untouchable. That timing is not always coincidence, and what they do when they return will tell you everything you need to know about whether anything has genuinely changed, or whether you are simply being pulled back into the same architecture of hope and disappointment that defined things before. The first thing that should give you absolute pause is when they return with presence, but no accountability. They reappear. They are warm. They are attentive in all the ways you spent months wishing they would be, but they do not address what happened. They do not name the ways they disappeared, the silences that stretched beyond any reasonable explanation, the moments where you needed them and they were emotionally absent. They move forward as though the past is simply behind you both, a river already crossed, and they expect your heart to do the same. This is not healing. This is avoidance wearing the costume of a fresh start. A person who has done genuine internal work does not skip over the wreckage. They walk through it with you. The absence of accountability is not a small thing. It is the loudest signal that the core pattern, the one that hurt you, has not been examined, let alone changed. The second thing is when they offer you intensity instead of consistency. They come back and suddenly everything feels heightened. The attention is overwhelming. The affection is present in a way it never quite was before. You feel, perhaps for the first time with them, genuinely pursued, and it feels extraordinary because you spent so long on the edges of their world that being at the center of it feels like arriving somewhere you always deserved to be. But watch what happens when the intensity settles. Watch what happens after 2 weeks, 3 weeks, when the novelty of reunion fades and the ordinary rhythm of relating begins to return. Intensity is easy for the avoidant. It is the sustained, unglamorous, daily choice of showing up that their attachment system struggles to maintain. If what they are offering is a flood rather than a steady rain, it will dry up, and you will find yourself again in a familiar drought, wondering where the person who came back so ardently has quietly gone. The third thing is when they make your re-entry conditional on your silence. Not explicitly, they will not say it in words, but there will be a felt pressure, a subtle withdrawal of warmth whenever you try to express how their absence affected you. Whenever you attempt to speak honestly about your pain, something in them closes. The conversation gets redirected. You are made to feel, without a single direct statement, that bringing up the past is the obstacle standing between you and the connection you both want. This is a form of emotional control that is particularly insidious because it looks, on the surface, like a desire to move forward. But moving forward and refusing to look back are not the same thing. What they are asking for is your silence about their impact on you. And any relationship rebuilt on the foundation of your unexpressed pain will eventually collapse under the weight of everything that was never allowed to be said. The fourth thing is when they return to you without having returned to themselves. The avoidant who comes back having done no internal work, no therapy, no honest self-examination, no genuine reckoning with why they are the way they are, is simply a person who missed the feeling of you without developing the capacity to sustain it. Missing someone and being ready for someone are not the same emotional state. One is about absence. The other is about growth. And you cannot build a different future with the same unexamined version of a person, no matter how much love exists between you. Genuine change in an avoidant is rare, but it is not impossible. When it is real, it is visible, not in what they say, but in how they tolerate discomfort. in whether they can sit inside a difficult conversation without fleeing, in whether they reach toward you in moments of emotional tension rather than retreating. Change looks like behavior sustained over time. Everything else is intention. And intention, without the capacity to follow through, is simply a more articulate version of the same old pattern. The fifth thing, and perhaps the most important, is when taking them back requires you to betray the version of yourself you became in their absence. That person you built in the quiet, the one who learned to sleep without waiting for a message, the one who stopped performing smallness to make someone else comfortable, the one who remembered what it felt like to have needs that were not an inconvenience. If returning to them means slowly, gradually, almost imperceptibly becoming less of that person, if you can feel the shrinking beginning before it has even fully started, that feeling is not paranoia. That feeling is memory, your nervous system recognizing a pattern before your mind has caught up. Love is not the question. You loved them. Perhaps you still do. Love has never been the variable in doubt. The question is whether love on its own is enough to justify the cost. Whether the connection you shared is worth more than the self you are being quietly asked to leave at the door. It is not. It never was. And somewhere beneath the longing, you already know that.